Oh, Wellington Phoenix, top of the ladder. Western Sydney Wanderers come back late once again, and a dramatic edition of Monday night's A-League football. 4-3 between Macarthur FC and Adelaide United. Hope you guys are doing well. We are live here on a Monday evening for the Round 6 A-League Men's recap, and there's a lot to go through and a lot to talk about. And you guys are going to help me process everything. Spencer's here nice and early. Hope you're doing well, Spencer. Good to see Ollie here as well. And goals, so many goals. And it's been helped out by this Monday night fixture, which is literally just finished up. Full time was blown minutes ago. I've jumped from the TV onto the stream here. And that's the match that we're going to talk about first up. We'll wait for some folks to jump into the stream, of course, live. If you're watching on replay, thanks for clicking on the video. And we're going to go for about an hour or so in this round recap because there is plenty to discuss from the past weekend. But I hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. Good to see Master FUT here as well as Troy. Troy's here. Says, hey, Lockie, a well-earned point yesterday. But the Macarthur game was, and he finishes off in his next comment, crazy indeed, dude. Absolutely nuts. 4-3. Bulls win in the end, but it was back and forth. It was incredible. Butter's here as well. Good to see Butter here. We're top of the league, of course. Butter very happy with his Wellington Phoenix at the moment. We're definitely going to talk about Wellington Phoenix tonight and how well they are playing because they're in some fine form at the moment. We could have been top of the league. Spencer, of course, for those that don't know, is a Brisbane Roar fan. And that's the exciting thing now in the A-League is that there really is half a dozen teams who are really looking like they're contenders for the top. And you get to say Brisbane's one of them. Brisbane's one of them. They did come very close to defeating Wanderers on the weekend. Plenty to discuss, plenty to talk about. But I want to start with tonight's match just because that's obviously the most recent one. Macarthur 4. Adelaide 3. What a match. What a result. It was back and forth. It was dramatic. And let's work up our stats here from Google. And it sums it up. It was, dude, it could have been even more. I thought Adelaide created some fantastic chances to put the game to bed in 70, 80th minute to really extend their lead. But Macarthur FC once again coming back late. 17 shots for the Bulls, 21 for the Reds. Possession was pretty even. And it was just chaos. Like from a neutral point of view, it was so much fun watching this game. It was a match that had it all. When you look at the lineups, obviously pretty strong for both teams, not missing too many key personnel. But it's this guy, man, Ulysses Davila, who's, for me, I mean, already we're throwing out sort of contenders. I know it's very early, but contenders for Johnny Warren medal. I think Ulysses Davila is going to be right up there. As long as he stays fit and injury-free, Ulysses Davila is going to be contesting for that Johnny Warren medal. Tarnley, good to see you here as well, says a crazy 7-goal thriller. Absolutely. And I thought the Reds were going to run away with this one, interestingly enough, because the Bulls, I thought, were very good in that first half and were the better team just. It was pretty even, though. But in the second half, it was mostly Adelaide who were running the show. And, they brought their subs on, some more fresh legs, and they've got, good young players to bring off the bench. We saw Bernardo come on, Musa Toure, Luke Dazelle. Ryan Tunnicliffe had an impact off the bench as well with his physicality and his presence in midfield. But it was the Bulls who came back late, and it's concerning for Adelaide. I don't know what it is. Maybe they have to tighten up something defensively. I thought Alex Popovic overall had a pretty decent game. He had a crucial intervention towards the end where he headed the ball out of play, stopping Jaman from getting a shot off. But look, is this the right defensive setup for the Reds? I mean, Bovalina, Rakito, these fullbacks love to get forward. Potentially that's leaving space vacant at the back. Master FUT says, watched about 10 to 20 minutes of what I watched. Macarthur played well, and they are playing well. I think the Bulls are one of these underrated teams where I don't think people are giving them enough credit. The way that they're playing and the depth that they have too. I mean, if I scroll down here, if you have a look here on this left-hand side, so this is the Macarthur substitutes. I mean, Danny De Silva, and then you got fantastic young players like Jake Holman, Ali Ogla, Jed Drewer, who are going to have an impact in the game with their pace. and their trickery, if you like. Charles Mombwa, I mean, he's a fantastic, hardworking midfielder. He's like barely getting a run at the moment in the side. Tommy Uskok was the first choice centre back for the first few rounds of the season. Matt Yerman had a solid game at the back for the Bulls alongside Aspero Potamidis. Borges Rodriguez, Spencer says here, what a player Borges Rodriguez is growing to be. And that's another feel-good story as well. I mean, like, I enjoy watching Bulls because there's a lot to like about them. But one of the feel-good stories about MacArthur this season is I don't want to call it a breakout season because Rafael Borges Rodriguez has been involved in the A-League for a number of years now. He's just been sitting on the bench at Melbourne City for I don't know how long now. It feels like it might have been 3 or 4 years now. He's just been sitting on the bench at Melbourne City, not getting a run. To be fair, look, he's playing behind the likes of Andrew Naboot, Matt Leckie, Marco Tilio. So it wasn't surprising that he wasn't getting a look in, but he made the right choice in the off-season, moving to Sydney, going to Campbelltown to MacArthur. And he's showing why he deserves to be a starting player in the A-League. He's been fantastic. Really shifting Matt Miller into a wide role permanently, I think has been a good move. He scored once again tonight. He's proving that he's so dangerous in front of goals, and with his pace, he's really causing havoc for defenders. Joshy, good to see you here as well. 4-3 indeed. Yes, if you just missed it, the match just wrapped up literally like minutes ago, just before we hit live on the stream. We're doing the live straight after that last game, 4-3 between MacArthur and Adelaide. A dramatic match. And dude, Spencer, you're bang on, man. Crazy to think the bottom two on the ladder are the two previous A-League champions. That's why we love the A-League, right? So unpredictable. Look, big takeaways from this game is it's MacArthur are dangerous. And MacArthur are a team who you have to be wary of because the way they push late and the plays that they have on to cause an impact are so dangerous. I mean, Jed Drew, Ali Ogla, these guys have pace for days. Jake Holman's a fantastic player, and it's really, it's tricky. I'd love to see Jake Holman starting week in, week out, but there is a solid partnership in the middle already for Bulls with Keanu Bacchus and Clayton Lewis. And just a word on Adelaide as well. Again, Nestori Irankunda, a little bit quiet tonight. He did have a free kick in that second half, which came close. Kurto had to make a good save. But the stand-up play tonight was Zach Clough. I mean, not just the 2 goals, but working so hard. And as I say that, Master FUT bang on there. So Zach Clough, underrated though, underrated indeed, Master. He's a player who is having a real impact this season. He's scoring goals, he's grabbing assists, and he has to work hard, man, in that midfield position. He's sort of playing as a number 10, but is getting back in defense to help as well for the Reds. And again, I mean, I was harping on about Ulysses Davila a moment ago in terms of Johnny Warren medal contenders. Zach Clough could be up there as one of those guys potentially if he keeps the stats rising. Troy as well says MacArthur players all seem to play a similar way, and I noticed their passing game is very good this season. Yeah, man, they've been moving the ball well, and we saw at the end of this game tonight they are. The Adelaide defenders were just a little bit off the pace and couldn't deal with the ball movement towards the end. There was space in the box for the likes of it was Davila, and who scored the second last goal as well for Bulls? Was it Jermaine? It was one of the subs, wasn't it? It might have been Holman. It was it was Holman. Yeah, Holman 82nd minute, Davila 84th minute. Calvert will be really, really annoyed with that, of course. Especially considering that Adelaide were leading for half an hour in that second half. Adelaide had a 3-2 lead, and I thought they were going to win it. So, look, a really, really interesting game in the end. Tarnley with a comment here on Irankunda. Good to see you guys here in the chat. Feel free to drop your thoughts on this game or any of the games from this weekend here in the chat. I feel like Irankunda, more of a second half impact player. Is he more of a second half impact player? Well, that was what he was for like the last couple of years, right? That was his role, and it worked really well. And I was worried, with the departure of Craig Goodwin, it sort of meant that Irankunda was going to be, thrust into this starting role. And I still think he works, as a starting player. It's a good way to, help him develop even more, give him more minutes. But maybe, and I feel like if Calvert wanted to revert back to that, making Irankunda a bench player, he's got options for players he could start there. Whether you bring in Bernardo Oliveira, Musa Toure. We saw Musa Toure slot into that right wing when he came off the bench. Even do something like, I know Hiro Ibusuki's on the bench, play Ibusuki through the middle and move someone like Luka Jovanovic out wide. Options there. But plenty to consider for Calvert with his team. A little bit up and down at the moment. Still good overall. I mean, both these teams I'd expect to be really competing for the top 6 this year. Master FUT, of course, a Wellington fan says it feels sad seeing Lewis in a black and white shirt. He's been really good for the Bulls so far. Very, very good. Pulling strings in the base of midfield, working hard. And a big loss for Wellington, man. I was surprised when Wellington let him go. It was quite a curious one. But entertaining game. 4-3. And what that means for the ladder, we'll keep flicking to the ladder throughout the stream tonight. We're going to be going through each of the games, talking about each game individually. So, dude, Bulls, this win lifts them into 3rd place. And look at that, undefeated, 3 wins, 3 draws. 12 scored, 9 conceded, but in a fantastic position 6 games into the campaign. This has happened before for the Bulls. Where they've started strong. It happened a couple of years ago where they started really strong. I remember I think they were top after several rounds, and then they fell away. So Mile Stojanski will have to make sure that his side can, keep up this consistency for a solid period of the season. Football God, great question. Who do you think Victory need to bring into the defense? I think defensively they're pretty solid, Melbourne Victory, to be honest. We will be talking about Melbourne Victory in depth very shortly. Of course, they drew 2-2 with the Mariners on Sunday Arvo. But that's how the ladder is looking at the moment. Adelaide, who lost tonight in 5th. 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. They're a funny team, Adelaide. And I mean, look at the goals for and against here. You can see 17 scored, 11 against. So they're one of those teams where it reminds me of me in career mode in FIFA. I mean, I score a lot of goals, I concede a lot of goals, and that's how Calvert's Adelaide are rocking at the moment. They're terrifying when they're firing, but defensively, maybe just still need to tighten things up a little bit, which was something that let them down last season. That stopped them from challenging for the premiership last season. Their leaky defense, and maybe it will hamper them once again this year. We've got more matches to talk about, so let's jump into the other ones. Next up, one of the biggest games of the round, if not the game of the round, Brisbane Roar 2, Western Sydney Wanderers 2. Drop your thoughts on this one in the live chat. This was a dramatic match, an entertaining match, a top 4 encounter. Of course, both these teams in the top 4, Wanderers in 2nd, Brisbane in 4th after this match. But this was a fun game, man. It was a fun game. Let's pull it up. Let's have a look. I've been impressed with both teams so far this season, and this game I was just really excited for. As you can see from the stats already, it paints the picture. Very even. Plenty of shots for both teams. Possession relatively even. Maybe hoping from a little bit more from Brisbane Roar in this game. But hey, overall, a fantastic encounter. And both teams are going to be very strong this season. A couple of changes for Brisbane Roar. Jack Hingard back into the side. Kai Truan, Bert Gilroy brought into the team. No Corey Brown due to injury. And Joey Coletti back into the side as well. So it was, my brain is blanking, Gomulka who dropped out. But there's consistent sort of attacking trio that we're seeing of Henry Hall, Waddingham, and Miljuznic. No Berenguer, he was out with injury as well. And for Western Sydney Wanderers, they've maintained a pretty consistent lineup for this season as well. And that's something that we noticed from the top teams, their consistency in their lineup. But Anderson, once again on the score sheet, Milanovic is having a very good season at Western Sydney. And that central midfield partnership is arguably the strongest in the competition. Hendricks and Brillante, very, very solid, those two. So, thoughts on this one? Big takeaways. Spencer's a Brisbane Roar fan, says, where do I start? Troy says Brisbane scoring 2 early goals was a shock. Crowd extremely agitated after the rain delays. Yes, of course. That we should mention that. Hey, this game was delayed by was about like 45 minutes or so. It was a little while, wasn't it? Spencer, you were probably there, Spencer, for about 45 minutes or so. And of course, yes, there was a bit of controversy. Spencer says here, this is Spencer's take on the match. Says Brownlee was onside. I don't care what anyone says. Also, Western Sydney Wanderers obvious handball, shocking refereeing, pretty lackluster second half for Brisbane. Plenty of controversy. Spencer, of course, was there. Plenty of controversy indeed, and Brisbane will be bitterly disappointed that they weren't able to hold on to this 2-goal lead. I mean, look at the minutes here for the goals. 13th minute, 15th minute. The Brisbane Roar fans were in dreamland. Their team looking real good to kick off the match, and then Western Sydney Wanderers, not for the first time this season, coming back late to rescue it 2-2. They did it against Newcastle a few weeks ago. But Milanovic, and that was the first controversial one where did he handle the ball in lead up to the goal? You guys have your say. I can see why it could be called a handball. The camera angles weren't great. I think we needed some better camera angles, but yeah, I'm not sitting on the fence, but that's all I'll say. Marcus Anderson as well, leaving it very, very late to equalize. And he's slowly getting going in the league, but I feel like he'll be one of those guys to really be challenging for the Golden Boot this season. Marcus Anderson. The rain delays are. Hopefully it's not something that continues hampering the A-League throughout the summer. Choices must be hard for the players to get pumped and ready to play when they have a rain delay, and still play a good game. Same for the Perth game. That's right, the Sydney and Perth game, which we'll chat about in just a sec. That what a dramatic night that was, and credit to everyone for getting the game, the second half underway. And Anthony, how's it going? Because Brisbane looked great in the first half. Disappointed not to win. Very, very good in the first half, and I think they showed. Western Wanderers, one of the teams to beat in the competition in the early rounds. And for Brisbane to go 2-0 up in the opening half, I mean, that just shows that, Brisbane are really capable of defeating absolutely everyone in this competition. They've got the players to do it. They've got the quality to do it and the spirit to do it. I watch Brisbane Roar play, and they play with great spirit and togetherness. Jacob, of course, a Brisbane Roar fan as well. That looks like Tommy Aldred in the, it is indeed Tommy Aldred in the profile picture there, Jacob. Says Wanderers didn't deserve that point. Spencer as well on his Brisbane Roar team says, I'm disappointed for my team. But on the positive side, at least a game like this happened early in the season so the players can learn. Really hope it's a super strong rest of the season for Brisbane. Dude, I'm sure it will be. Okay, from what I've seen from Brisbane in these first 6 rounds, man, I mean, and from what we saw in the Australia Cup as well, they're going to be so tricky to beat for everyone. They came to my Central Coast Mariners a few weeks ago and defeated them. They looked pretty fluent in attack. They're a much more dangerous side, that's for sure. The only concern, the one thing I'll say for Brisbane, and I know there's a few Brisbane Roar fans in the chat now, and I don't know if you guys have a take on it, but I'm concerned for Brisbane when they do get a few injuries, what happens. So we saw in this game, no Florent Berenguer. He was out. If Jay O'Shea picked up an injury, that would be a massive blow. And all of a sudden, the squad starts to look a little bit thin. Having said that, I'm sure there's some of these young players could really step up and take their opportunity if they were given the chance. We saw Shay Cahill. That was a big headline from this game. Shay Cahill, son of Tim Cahill, made his A-League's debut, which was a huge moment for the youngster. Almost scored too. Almost scored at the end. Imagine that. That would have been epic. Jacob says fullback depth is already bad, and we've just got 2 injuries at fullback. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, Jack Hingett's missed a couple of games already this season with injury. Corey Brown's out. Look, that's why they signed Anthony Burke-Gilroy. He's a guy that can slot in at fullback on either flank. Kai Trewin, not your natural fullback, but can play there if needed. So yeah, that's the only thing for Brisbane. Like they'll play finals this year, I reckon. But a couple injuries, and it's looking a little worrying. Carlo Amiento's still out with injury as well. Jacob Menses here, and Burke Gilroy went off injured. Not ideal, hey? Not ideal. Just on the Wanderers defender, Marcelo Troy says here, Marcelo is probably one of my favorite defenders in the league. He is strong, consistent, and experienced. He probably is. Look, it's up for debate, of course, but he probably is the best defender in the league. Who is, if you guys had a pinpoint, or even just give me like a top three, I feel like Marcelo's got to be in everyone's top three. Fantastic. Chips in with goals here and there too. And he's a leader. He's a leader. And Wanderers, once again, let's double check the ladder. I'm pretty sure they have the best defense in the league already, or equal best defense. 4 conceded. 2 were conceded on Friday. They doubled their goals against in one match. But before that, they had only conceded 2 this season after 5 weeks, 5 rounds. Marcelo, absolutely fantastic. So look, entertaining game, bitterly disappointing for Brisbane Roar. Western Sydney Wanderers leaving it late once again. Will not die down. This Western Sydney Wanderers side, I'm calling it now. Like sitting second on the ladder, I truly believe they'll finish top 2. Some are in the top 2. I'm not going to go ahead and say that they'll finish premiers, but in the top 2, I think is realistic. Just because defensively they're so good. Speaking of some of the best centre backs in the league, Marcelo, Caltech, cousin biased, and good, Curtis Good, very good, Curtis Good. Now the all-time appearance holder in the A-League for Melbourne City, hey, after the weekend. Love this. Some love for Wellington Phoenix here from Master FUTs. His top 3 defenders in the A-League are Kelly Hill, Tim Payne, Sermon. We're going to talk about those guys in just a sec, actually. They were fantastic on the weekend. That Wellington backline. So that's how the ladder is looking for the 2 sides we just chatted about. Brisbane, both still in a great position, of course. Brisbane, 3 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Western Sydney, you can see defensively there, just the 4 conceded after 6 games. 3 wins, 3 draws. They'll be disappointed that they don't have a couple more wins to their name. Sam, hey Sam, says, hello Lockie. How's your day been? It's been great, Sam. Thanks for asking, man. Good to see you here. And if you're just tuning in, this is the round 6 recap. We are going through every single A-League men's game, chatting about it, our thoughts, our feelings together as one. We've already spoken about the game tonight. MacArthur FC 4, Adelaide 3. And we just are wrapping up chatting about Brisbane Roar, West City Wanderers 2-2 dramatic draw from Friday night. Hey, let's talk about another game. Saturday's games. And Master FUT, and I'm sure we always get a lot of Wellington fans in the chat. So Wellington fans, jump in right now because your team is sitting top of the Isuzu A-League men's ladder. And look, I'll just say right now, it's fantastic to see. It's great. I love it. I love Wellington Phoenix. Despite predicting you guys to finish last, like basically every season, I love seeing Wellington do well, man. I really, really do. Master FUT says, let's go Ben Old. Butter, of course, is a Phoenix fan from over in New Zealand. Hope everyone was well over there in New Zealand. Of course, New Zealand getting a second A-League side next season. Sam says, don't even mention the Jets. Don't bother. Of course, we will be talking about that Jets City game towards the end of the stream. Speaking of Jets, here is Newey Jets football. Says, hey, man, frustrating for Newcastle. Only really positive was Piscopo Pack. Indeed, Newey Jets. Smeeze here as well. Good to see you here, Smeeze. Shocking game, TBH. But can't be mad with that defensive masterclass. And it really was a defensive masterclass from Wellington Phoenix. I mean, you just look at the shot stats from Western United. I mean, they managed 20 shots. Only 6 of those on target, to be fair. Alex Paulson was only called into action a few times. But Wellington were good. We're very, very good in this game. Very, very solid. Very professional. Let's have a look at this lineup. And we are going to focus on Wellington Phoenix, first of all. And it's that back 4, which has been the same back 4 every game this season. Back 5, if you want to include Alex Paulson, of course. Lucas Kelly-Hield is having a breakout season. Fantastic. Left back. He's keeping Sam Sutton out of the side. Scotty Woot and Finn Sermon. Brilliant. Both have improved dramatically. Fantastic. And then, quick word on Tim Payne. I know the Phoenix fans love Tim Payne. He's taken his game to another level. Just watch how much he gets up and down on that right flank. He works really hard. He's truly, like in the past, he's played as a centre back a lot for Wellington, but he's a right fullback now. But he operates like a wing back at times. He's getting up and down, working so hard. Master FUT on Wellington says, I feel like we can create chances and pass well, but we can't convert our chances. That's maybe the only weakness for Wellington. They do not score a lot of goals. When they're going at home, they are unstoppable. But this was another one of those games where, if they weren't necessarily dominating, but they took their chance when they got them. Sam says, I reckon Alex Paulson could be a shout for the goalkeeper of the year, or whatever it's called, the Golden Glove. Yeah, he's an early leader, I reckon, for that, for sure. Smeeze, love it. Love the comparison. Says, love Kelly Heald. Gangly Roberto Carlos. He's another player that works very hard too. And how old is Lucas Kelly Heald? Let's quickly click on the old bio here. Does it say somewhere? Transfer market 18. Fantastic. Or was that his kit number? I'm pretty sure he's 18. Someone let me know. But it says Tim Payne was a right midfield on attack and right back on defense, with Altai going right back on attack. It's a great point that Butter makes there. It's a fascinating formation that Wellington play. This doesn't really represent it. So this is just coming from like on Google. This doesn't really represent it. They play more of a 4-3-3 with Rufus sort of sitting centrally, Pennington on the left, Altai on the right. As you say there, Butter. Altai drops into right back to allow Payne to get forward. And then you've got a front three of David Bull, who's playing through the middle, Barbarousis and Kraev on the flanks. He is 18. Kelly Heald's 18. There you go. So it's a really dangerous system that they play, because when those fullbacks help out and support the attack moving forward, it's hard to stop when they, as I mentioned earlier, they're really hard to stop when they're going Wellington Phoenix. West United as well. We should talk about them because they are sitting bottom of the ladder. Bang. 1 win, 5 losses, only 3 goals scored. Look at that. That's the stat that should be really ringing alarm bells for fans of the green and black. 6 rounds into the competition, they've only managed to score 3 goals. 2 of those goals came in the opening round against Melbourne City. Since the opening round, after that, West United have only managed to score 1 goal. 1 goal. And it conceded 12. It's hard to say what really is going wrong at Western United, because let's just look at the team. It's a good team. Thomas Hewitt-Bell, I think, is a solid keeper. Josh Risdon, Garuccio, Imai, experience. Jacob Tratt has experience too. Look at that midfield too. Daniel Pena, Stephen Lustica, who won the championship with Western United. Angus Thurgate, very hard-working midfielder. Rami Najareen provides a lot of flair. And then you've got 2 exciting, relatively young players up top in Lockie Wales and Noah Botic. Does anyone know what's going on at West United and why this team is struggling so much? Because I can't put my finger on it. I cannot. There was someone in the chat. We were doing our Saturday night watch along, A-League watch along. It was Sydney FC Perth Glory. Someone in the chat, I can't remember who it was. If it was you right now and you're watching, let me know. Someone mentioned that Western United, they didn't understand why Daniel Pena wasn't being played in a central role as a number 10. Daniel Pena is being played as a right-sided midfielder, and I don't think it's his best position. We saw him flourish as a central attacking midfielder at Newcastle Jets a couple of years ago. And it would make sense for John Aloisi to do this. It would obviously mean a new shape. They usually just play a 4-4-2. It would mean sort of like a 4-2-3-1. it would mean a change of shape, but it would work out because you've got this guy here, Lockie Wales, who I know as a player very well. He grew up only a few kilometers away from me here on the Central Coast, and spent time, of course, the Central Coast Mariners was a wide player. Same for Melbourne City, and in the past at West United, playing as a wide midfielder. I wonder if John Aloisi could experiment with playing Wales on the right flank and then play Pena in behind Noah Botic. I don't know, man. I don't know. Troy says, I still don't understand why it's not working. On paper, they are a top 6 team easily. Yeah, and I predicted them to finish top 6. I thought they would finish top 6 for sure. It's a really, really perplexing one, and it's concerning too. And like, I know we've already had a couple managerial changes already in the A-League. Steve Corica's already out. Rado Vidicic, of course. John Aloisi could be next. I do think John Aloisi is a good coach. I mean, he led West United, of course, to the championship just a couple of years ago. But, you know, they missed out in finals last year but they were inconsistent. Now they're rock bottom of the ladder. And not only are they not winning games, but they're not scoring goals. And they have to fix it. I know they next year they finally start playing games at their new home ground, which is a positive. But they need to turn it around real quick. Western United. One more comment on this game here from Master FUT. And dude, I agree with you. Like I said last night, I think Alex Paulson can become a world-class keeper. He's so good. And the fact that he's so young, has so much potential, is going to make him an attractive option for overseas clubs. I think if Alex Paulson keeps up this form, he could attract the move from overseas. So this turned up being top versus bottom. Wellington Phoenix, top of the ladder now. 4 wins, 2 draws. 0 losses. 10 scored, 4 conceded. As we mentioned earlier, Western United in a terrible run of form. And it's a bottom of the table clash, man. It's a bottom of the table clash coming up this Friday. We're going to talk towards the end of the stream. We'll do a little preview, a mini preview on the upcoming rounds games. But it's Mariners v Western on Friday night, which I'll tell you what, the Mariners will view that as a winnable game. That's for sure. All right. Thanks for joining us here tonight on our live A-League Men round recap, round 6. Next up, Sydney FC, Perth Glory, one of the longest games in A-League history. And we were doing a live watch along for this one, man. We were. And it was, we had to end it. We had to end it early because I was like, I couldn't go till midnight, man. We needed to get some sleep. Who knew when this game was going to resume? And my goodness, this is the first thing to note to point out from this one. Drop your thoughts on this match in the chat. Sam points out that it was the second longest game in the A-League. First was of course, as some of you guys mentioned the other night, the MacArthur Jets game from last year. Look at this, Sydney, 33 shots. To Perth, 6 shots. And look, credit to Sydney. You know, they got away with it in the end because Bozanic made it a little bit nervy towards the end after he scored. Cam Cook equals Gigi Buffon. He's a fantastic keeper, Cam Cook. And he is rightly getting a run in the goals for Perth Glory ahead of Ollie Sale, isn't he? I know some of you guys are talking about Ollie Sale in the chat a little bit later. A little bit earlier, sorry. Master FUT says, Lockie, can you stream the Phoenix game v Jets? Won't be doing that one, but we'll be doing the game after that. We're going to be doing a live watch along for the primetime game, as we usually do. Sydney FC, MacArthur FC this Saturday. Just on Cam Cook in his good form. Butter says, I feel so bad for Ollie Sale. Couple more comments here on Alex Paulson. Good to see the love for Alex Paulson coming in. If Paulson was a couple inches taller, he'd genuinely reach the highest level possible. Plays like a 35-year-old club stalwart and has the composure to match. Yeah, you're right. Fantastic, isn't he? So obviously, first half went by, and then halftime, a storm hit Sydney, and we were sitting on the live stream for over an hour, and we ended up having to wrap it up before the second half got underway, somewhere around 10:30 p.m. local time. Sydney FC, good for them to get 3 points to bounce back after the loss in the derby the week prior. But it's these two guys here, the two wide players, if you like, Joe Lolly and Robert Mack, who got on the score sheet in that first half and are both looking fantastic. Especially Joe Lolly, dude. When he's in form, when he's hungry, unstoppable. He's fantastic. It was interesting as well for Sydney FC. They played both Fabio Gomez and Patrick Wood together for the first time. I thought it worked out pretty well. I thought Patrick Wood actually had a very good game. He worked hard. Corey Holman getting a start here as well. They had a couple of injuries, Sydney FC. No Kaczarski, no Caceres. So that's a winning team for Sydney FC. Obviously, with the likes of Caceres and Kaczarski coming back in, it's a strong side, isn't it? Very, very strong. I'd imagine when Rodwell returns to injury, he will probably replace Girdwood Reich. That'll be interesting. And for Perth Glory too, I mean, I feel like, I don't know what it is, man. I mean, they've got a decent team, but it's not the most exciting team. You know what I mean? I think defensively, you got some strong options there. Latchman Beavers is a very formidable defensive partnership. Cameron Cook's a great goalkeeper, as some of you guys already mentioned. And in midfield, Collie Bozanic. I mean, Bozanic, one of the best midfielders in A-League history, we could say. Ivanovic got a start here in this game against his former side and worked hard and had a great chance in that first half that he should have taken. Which may have given this game a different look heading into halftime, but missed out in the end. Adam Taggart as well getting a goal. And there was a couple of times, especially in that second half, where if you looked at the body language of Adam Taggart, he was getting really frustrated. Really frustrated, Adam Taggart. And I just wonder if he's just not getting the right service. They maybe just need one or two more creative players in there. Jared Carluccio, Salim Khalifi not really doing too much to excite Perth Glory fans at the moment. Sam here says, I won't lie, Reddit had a bit of a howler in the end. Yeah, dude, it was the late goal, Ollie Bozanic, that caused a bit of concern. Yeah, he completely misjudged it, didn't he? The way that it just ghosted over his head. Should have been guarding it a bit better, that back post. Didn't have to come too far out. He wanted to claim it, but it sailed over his head. And dude, great finish from Bozanic, to be fair, in the end, hey? Great finish. So Lolly Mack with the goals, almost a first goal for Gladstone, but it went down as an own goal for Shushnya. Taggart once again on the score sheet. Ollie Bozanic grabbing a goal as well. Smees says, didn't watch the game. Can anyone who watched tell me how Corey Holman went? I loved what I saw from him at NPL level. Well, Corey Holman has settled into the Sydney FC side really well. Had a good game, had a decent game overall, alongside Luke Bratton in midfield. Worked hard, and he got plenty of minutes in the Australia Cup. Corey Holman, he was that first choice midfielder alongside Bratton for their Australia Cup run that took them to of course the final itself. So they've got good options there, Sydney FC. You know, even though, as we mentioned, Caceres was that injured, you know, Corey Holman can slot in. Good young players on the bench who they can bring on as well. So 3-2 Sydney FC, dramatic night at the end, a very long match, which ended around like 11:15 or something local time. A big result for Sydney FC, which sees them slowly jump higher up the ladder. Again, it's Ufuk Talay is trying to turn this team around, try to get them winning games, lift them up high up the ladder. Currently in 8th position, 2 wins, 4 losses, 8 goals and scored and 11 conceded. And then it was Perth Glory, who are still just looking a little bit lackluster right now. 1 win, 1 draw, 4 losses, 8 scored, 11 conceded. Was more like midnight. It was getting to that stage, wasn't it? that Sydney Glory game. Entertaining match overall. 2 more matches to discuss here for our round recap. Central Coast Mariners Melbourne victory 2-2. Let's chat about it. Because this was a dramatic game too. There was plenty of drama across the weekend. Alu Kawal, Angel Torres scoring for the Mariners. Bruno Fornaroli with an unbelievable strike. Nishan Veluple, very nice goal as well. Looking at the lineups, Mariners finally starting to find some consistency with their lineup. Formation that you see here isn't very accurate. They do play a 4-4-2 Central Coast Mariners with Wilson playing on the right flank. Melbourne victory, this is a bit more accurate reflection of their actual lineup. They were missing a couple of players. But Jake Brimmer returned for a start. First start in some time for Jake Brimmer. No Damien De Silva, so Connor Chapman slotted in at centre back. Adama Traore missing with suspension. So it was Franco Lino who jumped in at left back. Tanley here says Fornaroli needs a call-up. Well, if he keeps up this form and scoring goals like he did on the weekend, he's going to leave Graham Arnold no choice, hey? Master FUT says, do you think Qual fouled the defender on the first goal? Honestly, I definitely could have seen that called for a foul. Yeah, and that's coming from a Mariners fan. I was surprised that it got let go. I was surprised it easily could have been called for a foul, but it is what it is. Smee says Torres thinking he was Iron Robin. Yeah. Robin on the right. Really stifled the Central Coast Mariners attack over the first few rounds. Glad Jackson is experimenting. I think the big thing for Torres is that he scored a goal. And yes, it was a penalty. But you could see from his celebration, there was a sense of relief from Angel Torres. And he's a player who I think he's going to get better over time. I trust that he's going to get better. He hasn't been great, to be fair. He has made mistakes. But you look at what he's got. He's got pace. He loves to take players on. And he's got a decent strike on him as well. He's got good power on that left boot, especially. And if he stays injury-free, if he continues to get the starts, he will improve and he will provide goals for Central Coast Mariners. Troy as well, just on Angel Torres. Says, I'm happy to see Torres score that pen. He needed that, as he has been criticized about his finishing. Also good to see us fighting to the end. Absolutely. Mariners not giving up, man. And I think that the win the week prior in the F3 Derby really kick-started the season a bit for the Mariners. And I think from now on, we're going to see this Mariners side really push forward after a disappointing first few rounds. Hey, good to see Boston in here as well. I'm well, man. Hope you're doing well. Sam with a hot take here on Bruno Fornaroli. Some folks in the chat saying Bruno Fornaroli deserves a Socceroos call-up. I might get stick for this, but I do feel like Bruno's getting a bit overhyped. I think he deserves the hype, to be fair. I think he's been fantastic to start off the competition. If we jump over here, these are the goal scoring charts here. Sorry, 7 goals after 6 rounds. Obviously, he scored a bag against Newcastle Jets in round 2, I think it was. I think he does. I think he definitely deserves a look in for the Socceroos. He's in good form. And he's a good striker, even at this age. Speaking of Socceroos strikers, Cummings returned to the Socceroos. I haven't been following his form too closely in India, to be fair. But I'd love to see him get back in there again. But I mean, yeah, with Bruno Fornaroli in great form, maybe Cummings will miss out once again. So, dramatic match in the end. Once again, 2-2. Melbourne victory, looking very, very good for most of this game. Mariners, as Troy mentioned it earlier on, fighting to the end. when we have a look at the stats from this game as well. Interesting, actually, I didn't realize this, actually. Melbourne Victory only had 2 shots on target. Both of their on-target shots were goals. And 2 fantastic goals, of course. Mariners having more shots. Less possession, though. Melbourne Victory did control decent patches of the game. But Mariners, I think, considering the quality and class that Melbourne Victory possess, and the fact that Mariners are still sort of finding their feet with some new players in the lineup, a point is a good result for Mariners fans. Troy as well says, huge congrats to Nizzy and Hall for those well-earned milestones. Of course, Josh Nisbet playing his 100th game, Dan Hall 50th game. In my opinion, we do need to move the ball faster and stop backward passes. Vurka looked a bit indecisive at times. I agree with you. I think that was one of the things that was letting us down in the opening rounds for the Mariners, is the slow ball movement. A little bit faster, and we can get in behind. And that's something that was, really helped the Mariners last year in the championship winning season. Another comment here from Spencer on those Socceroos strikers. It says Cummings definitely a good striker to have for the group stages if we want to save McLaren and Duke's energy for the knockouts. Yeah, I mean, Cummings is a good striker to play, even just from the start, hey. And then bring on someone like McLaren or Duke in the second half. Yes, of course, Boston, a Sydney FC fan. And we'll talk about that game just before as well. Boston mentions I went to the rain delay Sydney FC game at SFS. Stayed the full night. Would have been a late one, hey, Boston. Jonas here. Jonas here with a comment on Roderick Miranda, who, of course, was either at fault or fouled for that first goal, the Yalo Kowal goal. Says, I think Brook need a new centre back. Roddy has been dodgy all of the last 2 seasons. There are mistakes in his game, of course, as there is for many defenders. I think overall he's still a solid defender. He's got great experience. Roderick Miranda. And yeah, I think he'll be disappointed that wasn't a call to foul, because as I mentioned earlier, I think it easily could have been pulled back for a foul, and I was kind of surprised it wasn't. Good to see Tay Burns here as well. Tay says the Reds have shocking defense. Yes, we were talking about Adelaide a bit earlier in the stream, and conceding 4 goals. Calvert would not be happy, especially after they were in a winning position. So another dramatic game. Hey, let's talk about the final game of the round. It was Newcastle Jets 0, Melbourne City 2. A valuable 3 points for Melbourne City, who have been struggling so far this season. And a disappointing result for Newcastle Jets, who are now 2 consecutive losses, right? Starting to slip away just a little bit from that top 6. Some more experimentation in the lineup for Robbie Stanton, giving Vidic a start up top alongside Bahagia. Aquilina brought into the starting lineup as well. For Melbourne City, they, of course, were coming back after a dramatic midweek match in Tokyo against Ventforet Kofu in the Champions League. So Ugarkovic was rested, and Mazio came into the side and scored after, 12 minutes. Very nice header off the cross. And that really kickstarted the game for Melbourne City, put them in a great position early on. And it was, as I think it was Aurelie Vidmar said himself, it was a very professional and composed performance in the end. Jamie McLaren grabbing a second half goal to really give them a buffer. Newcastle Jets had chances, man. They did. Crossless with a decent free kick. If we have a look at the stats here, 9 shots, only 1 of those on target. That's really where Jets were let down in the end. City managing 13 shots, 7 of those on target. Ryan Scott caught into action a couple times for the Jets. Melbourne City just with too much class in the end. And I think that's where Jets might struggle a little bit against some of these tougher sides who would just have more experience. Another big positive as well for City was the return of Matt Leckie, who made his first A-Leagues appearance of the season. Thoughts on this game? Let me know in the chat right now. Jamie Young Body check. Let's talk about that, says Sam. All right. What do you guys think? Red or yellow? Red or yellow or nothing? I'm sure no one thinks that it should have been nothing. So Jamie Young, for those that don't know, absolutely clattered into Archie Goodwin, who was away down that right wing, came out of his box and just took him out. Sam is of the opinion that it should have been red. On first viewing, I thought it should have been a red. On second viewing, I was okay with the yellow. On first viewing, I thought it was like an elbow to the head, and it looked pretty violent. Yeah, but it's definitely yellow. He had all eyes for Archie, says Sam, and says he was nowhere near the ball. That is true. But I guess another way to think about it is, imagine if that was just like an outfield player making the challenge. And yes, the ball wasn't in the vicinity. But if an outfield player comes across and charges someone down like that, without, it wasn't like an elbow to the head or anything, incredibly violent. But he absolutely took out his body. I think it's a yellow. I think the other conversation as well is whether he was the last man. And I think you can see from the replay, there are a couple of City defenders central. If those City defenders aren't there, I think it could have been a red for sure. But I think because the City defenders were there and there wasn't any direct sort of violent conduct towards the head or anything for Archie Goodwin, I'm okay with the yellow. Having said that, if it was like a Mariners, like if I was watching my Mariners and that happened to a Mariners player, I'd probably be blowing up for a red too. So I understand the frustration from Newcastle Jets fans, that's for sure. Because yeah, man, I remember like watching it on replay afterwards, and the stadium blew up in noise around that incident. Jamie Young awarded a yellow card for that moment, and City managing to hold on to a 2-0 win in the end. Valuable 3 points for Melbourne City, which lifts them up a little bit higher now to 7th. 2 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses, 8 scored, 12 conceded. Defensively, they haven't been great in Melbourne City this year. Lockie TV Show chiming in. How's it going, Lockie TV Show? Young went to the ball, then the player. Indeed. Realized he wasn't going to get there in the end, and decided to take out Archie Goodwin instead. Master FUT is up the Knicks, and it is the Knicks who currently sit top of the ladder, first place. 4 wins, 2 draws. Incredible for Phoenix fans. What a time to be Wellington Phoenix fans. Wanderers are real close, as are Macarthur. 3 wins, 3 draws for those 2 teams from Sydney. Brisbane Roar looking pretty good on 11 points as well. And then rounding out the top 6 are Adelaide and Melbourne Victory. Melbourne Victory, even though they are sitting 6th, still without undefeated. Haven't lost a game so far this season. 4 consecutive draws. You can see here the form here on the right-hand side. This ladder coming from Google. 4 consecutive draws for Melbourne Victory. They'll want to get back to winning ways in the upcoming round. And we're going to talk about the upcoming round in just a second. Melbourne City is just behind Victory. Melbourne Derby is coming up on December 23rd, just a few weeks away. Sydney FC, that win against Glory lifts them into 8th. And it's Jets who are now starting to slip down after a couple losses. 9th place. Perth Glory and Mariners still with just the 1 win so far this campaign, both on 4 points. Western United, who are really, really struggling and need to turn it around. Desperately. They've got a really fascinating match coming up against Central Coast Mariners. Let's talk about those upcoming matches right now. It is round 7 in the A-League men's competition coming up, and this is what it looks like, man. This is what it looks like. Central Coast Mariners, Western United, Friday. We've got 2 Friday games. How unusual it is. 2 games Friday, 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. I love it. Feels nice and even. Mariners, Western, 2 teams who currently sit bottom of the ladder. Mariners will view that as a winnable game. So will Western, to be fair. Western almost won this fixture last year. Mariners came back and won thanks to some Garang Kowal second half antics. Yes, very keen to get them to the Mariners game on Friday. Indeed, Troy should be growing. Plenty of home games to kick off the season for the Mariners as well. Following that game on Friday is Perth Glory, Melbourne City. That's kicking off at 9:45. These times that you're seeing here are Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Perth Glory, Melbourne City. So that's a game that Glory will really earmark as a game to win. They've had a few consecutive away games now, Perth Glory, and they need to, if they want to be playing finals football this season, they need to be winning all their home games because their away form is terrible, and it has been for many years now. Melbourne City, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Perth Glory are going to have to be at their absolute best to get 3 points from that one. Wellington Phoenix, back at home in New Zealand, hosting Newcastle Jets. I'd expect everyone to be tipping Wellington there, man. You'd be tipping Wellington for sure. They're in great form. They're top of the ladder. And they're coming up against the Newcastle Jets side, who are currently coming off 2 consecutive losses. That match is preceding the Saturday night primetime match. We'll be doing a watch-along for Sydney FC, Macarthur FC. A Sydney derby. And these games generally pretty entertaining as well. Sydney FC, Macarthur FC should be an entertaining game. I think Macarthur, with the threat they possess on the counter-attack, could cause some headaches for Sydney FC. But I think Sky Blues might be tipped by most people to win that one. Just on that Perth Glory game, Lockie says here in the chat, City need to win that. They do if they want to keep in touch with the rest of the top 6. Indeed. Sunday, a couple really great games on Sunday, man. Love these Sunday fixtures. Do not leave your couch on Sunday afternoon, or leave your couch if you're going to, if you're in either Adelaide or Parramatta, Western Sydney. Adelaide, Brisbane Roar will be a fantastic game. That's dude, I'm telling you now, that's going to end like 5-4 to Adelaide, I reckon. 5-4. That's my prediction right now. There's going to be goals for sure. And Brisbane Roar keen to get back to winning ways after being held to that draw at home. Coopers is a really, really tricky, really tricky place to get to. No worries, Troy. Enjoy the rest of your night, man. Thanks for tuning in as always. Rounding off the round is Western Sydney Wanderers, Melbourne Victory, which two of the clubs with the biggest supporter bases in the league, of course. Another away day in Sydney in New South Wales, I should say, for Melbourne Victory, who will be wanting to finally win a game after 4 consecutive draws. Western Sydney Wanderers, though, are going to be very, very hard to beat at home this season. And it's going to be hard for Melbourne Victory to get a win there, I reckon. We've got some predictions in the chat here. Spencer's dropping off 2-0 win for Brisbane over Adelaide. That would be huge. Dude, if to keep Adelaide scoreless at home would be a remarkable result. And it's backing a 4-2 win for Wanderers over Melbourne Victory. Fantastic games, man. Fantastic games, especially their Sunday evening games. We're going to be live on Saturday for City FC, Macarthur FC for the watch long, so make sure to join us for that. We're also going to be live this coming Wednesday for the Matildas game against Canada. Plenty going on this week. Lockie is saying that the Wanderers v Victory game is the game of the round. Dude, there's a few games you could probably call A. Like, I actually think Mariners Western could be good because of the fact that they are pretty close on the ladder towards the bottom. Adelaide Brisbane will be a fun game to watch as well. But yeah, man, I think it could be right as well. Wanderers Victory could be a great game to watch for sure. I think Sydney Macarthur could provide plenty of entertainment as well. Hey guys, appreciate you guys tuning in for the Monday live round recap. We're going to try and do this every single Monday evening, a little bit later tonight, of course, because we had a Monday night match which just finished up. Of course, Macarthur defeating Adelaide 4-3. Spoon ball Friday night. I'd be surprised if both those teams are on the bottom of the ladder to finish out the season, to be fair. Mariners, Western, both good enough to be a little bit higher, in my opinion. Master FUT, of course, the Wellington fan in the chat, says, hoping Wanderers and Macarthur lose so we can be 5 points clear. Of course, if they do, yeah. Dude, Wellington, man. An early charge for the top. An early charge for the top. Fantastic from Wellington. It's great. Dude, as I said at the start, not a Wellington fan. predicted them to finish last. Love seeing it, man. Love being proved wrong. They're playing some great football at the moment, and they're a tough team to beat. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. My name's Lockie. This is Coastwatch Football, and have a great week, guys. I'll catch you on Wednesday for the Matilda stream, then Saturday night for the A-League men's primetime match stream. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.